Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, good morning, because I know Facebook is a worldwide platform. It's Nana. Stop the stigma against people with unique abilities. We rock, we're the best, and we're going to keep being the best walking this earth. As you can see, I'm a little bit more alert after today's endeavoring scrutiny. Basically, hard to manage pain. I'm a lot more alert today. I had to rest. Evening, Chrissy. I had to rest, even though I wanted to go out because today is my sister's birthday, and also pay respects to people in America for 9/11. I remember where I was on that day. It was a very historical, not in a positive manner, but I mean it was a historical day that no one will forget. May the people who died in that tragic incident rest in peace, and I hope the families of the victims are strong, and you know they've done positive things to make. Maybe it could be their father, their mother, their auntie, their brother, their sister. Hopefully they've done something positive in their memory. To always remember them. Right. Today's topic. I've always wondered to myself how many disabled people are actually in this world. How many disabled people do the state or does the government actually know exist? Because I know this country, it's not compulsory for you to register yourself disabled. It's actually a choice, which is fine. We do, if we're screaming freedom of information and we, freedom of free speech, then obviously we need to be given a choice. But at the same time, it doesn't really help because we don't know how many people out there have disabilities. It could be a large number. I've always thought to myself that because there's a lot of people out there walking with okay, that's all right. That's cool, Stephen. So basically, it's a thing where I would love to, find a ratio of people who have disabilities. It's just good to know that amount of data, basically. I was going to talk about a topic. I came across an article today, and the article was Counting the World's Invisible Minority by Deborah McPhillips, data reporter. So, I'm going to read it, and then if anybody's got questions, you can ask me questions, and I will do my best to answer them. And if anybody's got any information or anything they want to talk about, put it in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. Right, give me 1 second. Just before my phone falls. Right. So, article is, as the 2016 Paralympics Games take place in Rio de Janeiro from September 7th, which is gone, through to 18th of September. US News and World Report is looking at the challenges faced by disabled people worldwide. Nearly 4 million people move through Shinjuku metro station in Tokyo each day, finding their way through a maze of passageways to dozens of tracks on multiple platforms. The station is one of the world's busiest transportation hubs. On September 10th, 1986, it became a center of a building global disability rights movement. Oh wow, I never knew about that. Quite interesting. Never knew. Hundreds of people, many assisted by wheelchairs and walkers, paraded through the bustling streets of Tokyo shouting, "Access now." These members of the Japan Charter of Disabled Persons International, led by Shoji Nakawashi, I think I pronounced that right, planned to travel from Shinjuku to the Park station, where many, if not all, knew they would find themselves stuck underground. The Uno Park station, like nearly all of Japan's public transport at the time, was not accessible for most people with disabilities. Right, I'm gonna play. There's a video on here before I read the rest of the article. There's a little clip or video by a lady called Jessica Long, and she tells her story. It's about 3 minutes long, so I'm going to be silent and then I'm going to let you listen to it. Hi, Miss Nelson. I am talking about an article which is on my timeline, and the title is "Counting the World's Invisible Minority." So basically the amount of disabled people that are about. And again, as I said before I play the video, if I tag you into my videos and you don't want me tagging you into them, please let me know and I'll untag you. And if you feel what I'm doing, it's something you're not interested in, you can always untag yourself or unfriend me. It's no problem. A few people have messaged me saying not to tag them into my stuff, which is fine. So if anybody doesn't like me to tag them, just let me know and I will refrain from doing so. It's just something I'm pulling out there. It's on my time. Right. Can I pay? You know what? Because I've started the video, Chrissy, I can't come out of it and give you the link. But if you look on my page, I don't know how you're watching me. Oh, that's good. That's good, Miss Nelson. That's good. Now, just a few people just are saying that they don't want me tagging my stuff. So I just want to make it clear. If anybody doesn't want me to do that, or they feel what I'm talking about is not of interest to them or not what they want on their page, then I will by all means, untag them. So if anybody is at that stage where they feel I'm flooding their page unnecessarily, no problem. Not everybody wants to hear the same news, and not everybody is interested in awareness of disability, and some people have their own projects going on, and it's understandable. We're all here to do our own thing. I mean, I'm here to do something for the world, so that is what I do, you know. But anyway, I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Can any of you guys remember what I was saying before? This is what happens when you talk about loads of things. Right, okay. I'm gonna play the story from Jessica Long. It's 3 minutes long, so I'm gonna be silent. I'm gonna let you guys listen to it, and then I'm gonna continue reading the article. Oh.
I'm Jessica Long. I'm a 12-time Paralympic gold medalist for the U.S. swim team. And my story is actually pretty...
Oh no, what have I done? Sorry guys, I think I pressed the button by accident. It's on my link, Miss Nelson. If you look at my timeline, it's on there. I think give me 1 second, I'm on my Facebook on my computer now. Let me go to my page. Let me scroll down. Right. It is right after, it's right underneath my live video that I'm doing now. So if you check it, you'll see it. Right, let me start this again. Hopefully my butterfingers don't stop the video. Tell me if you lot can hear the video. Cool.
I'm Jessica Long. I'm a 12-time Paralympic gold medalist for the U.S. swim team. And my story is actually pretty unique. What I think is so special about being a Paralympic athlete is everyone has such a unique story. And my story actually starts back in Russia. I was adopted when I was 13 months old to an American couple here in Baltimore. And they had 2 children, and they couldn't have any more, so they looked into adoption. And they adopted my brother and I from a Russian orphanage. And then they ended up having 2 more kids, so I'm one of 6 kids. It's crazy. But what I think is really special about them is they wanted to adopt kids with physical disabilities. I was born with fibular hemimelia, which basically means I was missing the fibula bone in both of my lower legs. So my legs are off, I walk on my knees. But growing up was really hard. You know, I think it was really difficult for me to grasp and to understand, you know, that I didn't have my legs. And along with this birth defect came a lot of surgeries. And every time I grew, I had to go in for more operations. And, you know, I'm 24 now and I'm done growing. But there was a time that every 6 months I was heading back in for another surgery. And it's crazy because when I look back now, I can see how that really shaped me and built me into this person that I am today. You know, I couldn't give up. It wasn't even an option to give up. You know, I went into these surgeries and it was really difficult. You know, the recovery time, and every time I walk, I'll always be in some sort of pain. I think it's just inevitable with being a bilateral amputee and standing on my bone. As a little girl, you know, I was just so determined to recover and to get back to being active as soon as possible. And I never felt disabled. Even to this day, I don't really feel like I have a disability. I never wanted my legs to hold me back. And if there was something or an obstacle or, you know, something that I couldn't do, you just learn to adjust. And that's kind of what I've done my whole life. You know, even to this day, all of my life, steps will be probably the hardest thing that I feel like I never get used to steps. But you just find ways to overcome it. And I think as a little girl, there was just moments in my life that, you know, I had to adjust and find a way to do it myself.
Her mindset, just absolutely incredible. Infectious attitude every single day. She's extremely strong in her core, lower back. We cut down the volume of her workouts just to make sure we protect those shoulders.
have this drive, and I like to win. You know, I like to be the best that I can be and to train the hardest. And, you know, I want to know when I step up on that swimming block that I did everything in my power to win that gold medal.
Interesting story. So she goes through the pain, she goes through everything, and she still wants to be the best at what she does. Inspirational. Yeah, definitely. Right. In staging this radical protest and others like it, Nakashi, who lost the use of his arms and legs after a motorbike accident, has contributed to a global effort to empower people with disability and foster inclusive societies. The perceived power of this movement in Japan was in showcasing the sheer number of people affected. But 30 years later, whilst most of Japan's stations now meet accessibility needs, hard numbers related to disability, the statistics that could help drive similar change around the world have yet to be pinned down. So, in a nutshell, what I said, there is no hard figure on how many people are disabled. There isn't a hard, you know, if it was something to do with money, I can guarantee you every state or country would know how much money is being spent and how much, you know, drain of resource that a disabled person is draining those that are registered. But when it comes to knowing the amount of people that are actually disabled in a country, countries don't seem to know globally. Wow. That is concerning. Disability statistics on a global scale are almost non-existent. Experts say efforts to collect standardized and analyzed international data have been scattered largely due to challenges defining disability and to ingrained discrimination that has made disabled people less of a priority to policy making. You see what I mean? You see why I keep on banging on about disabled people are not focus of a country. Disabled people are the back burners of everything. The lack of respect, the lack of inclusion, the lack of even a thought process to just involve the person in a policy that will focus or enable the disabled person or the person with that unique ability to be able to be part of society is even not thought of. You know, it says it right here, and I'm going to repeat it. Where should I go from? Right. Efforts to collect, standardize, and analyze international data has been scattered, largely due to challenges defining disability and to ingrained discrimination. So there's discrimination. So I'm not blind and I'm not deaf when I say I feel and I hear the pain of disabled people, me included, that we are not accepted. When I say that, I'm going to have people who tell me, oh, we are, you know, Job Center looks after us, we get disability allowance, and as that famous person who's still on my page, who's a lovely person now, she's accepted what I do is right. But in the beginning, she was like, all disabled people are happy. We are happy-go-lucky people. How do you know that? You don't. Unless you are facing the condition I face every morning where I'm coughing up my guts and you are using a ventilator like I am, which I'm going to show you guys all this week, what I go through in the morning. You don't know if I'm happy or not. I may put a smile on, but I've got a mask on. You don't know what happens after I switch off the live feed. You don't know. Everybody's got a mask. Regardless of how people try to say that they wear their heart on their sleeves, or what you see is what you get, everybody has got some type of mask that they wear. They don't show themselves fully. So, as you can see here, it says that has made disabled people less of a priority in policy making. So when it comes to policy making, now you can see why, even when you look at the whole PIP process, yeah, where they decided to get rid of disability living allowance and get the PIP process, they may have got a small number of disabled people to consult with, but as it says clearly right here, it says disabled people less of a priority in policy making. So it just says it all. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Data doesn't make systematic change on its own, experts say, but it can be the impulse to draw attention to the problems and help identify gaps in policies. I have to laugh. You know why I have to laugh? Thanks for joining, Max. Because even what I'm doing, people are not that much interested in what I'm doing in terms of even watching my videos. You know, so you can see everything I'm saying is kind of mirroring it in a way. It may not be to the same context, but in a way I'm right in what I'm saying, that disability isn't... I'm not saying disability should be the forefront, but at least make it be secondary prior to probably the normal safety of everybody in a country. Let it be the second topic that people come on. And then you look at health conditions and health issues and doctors and all them kind of things. Because disabled people, we matter. You know, I always slap myself, Unique, people with unique abilities, we matter. Don't we? Who agrees? Do we not matter? Not all of us are happy. More people need to speak up. Oh yeah, Chrissy. My lovely lady Chrissy. I'm going to give you a dare. I'm going to give you a challenge. Can I ask you to do a live video feed? Or would that be too challenging for you? Right. So they need to consult. I think they need to do a big event where people across the world, or no, across the country, come together and talk to people that make these policies. We may all not agree, but we can agree to disagree on certain things. But then when you get a minority of people with disabilities and you talk to them and you base your decisions based on what they've told you, so you do your little survey based on them, it doesn't really help. Right, if she does tag me in, it would. Okay, basically what you mean, Miss Nelson, is you would love to hear her story. I think, see, because your fingers are like this, yeah? You're typing so fast, your sentence didn't make sense in the last bit. But anyway, I understood what you said. I would go live. What do you want me to talk about? Right, Chrissy, firstly, Miss Nelson, you can add each other because she wants to hear your story. I want you to speak about your story, how everything began, and what's led you up to today, and basically open up your world to us. We want to know about Chrissy Waters, all about you. Right. So, having the minority of people with disabilities, putting them in a room and asking them a few questions, I don't think that's the best solution. I think a big event should be held, and everyone with a disability who's willing to come to these events, meet up and explain what the common man goes through with disability. Because I think that's needed. Anyway, let me carry on. Data and statistics represent reality. Who agrees? Data and statistics represent reality. Data can be fiddled with. Data, statistics doesn't necessarily tell us the full picture, because there are some people that will withdraw themselves and not get involved. I disagree slightly with this statement here, where it says data and statistics represent reality. What are you guys, what's your view on that? I disagree. Anyway, data and statistics represent reality, says Ricardo Palgoldaro. God, they're making me, it's like going back to school again. I'm coming out of all these words I wouldn't normally pronounce. I'm teaching myself something, though, aren't I? Right. Hey everyone, got to love you and leave you. Work early tomorrow. Okay, Miss Nelson, have a good sleep. I don't think they can really. Okay, Max. Cool. Right. An inclusive advisor for handicap international humanitarian efforts. One example can move emotions, but response programs are moved by data. Okay, I'm a bit confused. One example can move emotions, but response programs are moved by data. Okay. Right. Everybody has something different that they have to go through every day. That's very true, Max. Very true. That's why I don't believe in that statement, because everybody's threshold in what support they need, or threshold in the pain or whatever they go through with their condition is different. You're completely right, Max. I agree. Many global policymakers presume efforts focused on improving the lives of people with disability yield minimal results, both for the individual and society, says Judith E. Hinumani, Special Advisor for International Disability Rights at the U.S. Department of State. High level of shame and stigma attached to disability cause underreporting by both individuals who resist acknowledging their limitations by the governments that don't consider people with disability when conducting Kansas, I think, and other surveys. You see what I mean? I'm going to read that paragraph again. High levels of shame and stigma attached to disability cause underreporting. You hear that? So because of the shame and because of the whole stigma attached to disability, there is an underreporting. People don't want to report about disability. Wow. Okay. This is the world we live in. People don't even want to talk about it. And this is what I've been banging on about. That people do not want to report or speak about disabilities. And even the people that have conditions shy away from talking about their story. And it doesn't help, because it's not going to allow people to stop treating disabled people the way they do. They will continue. They will continue. You can only stop a culture or a behavior if people stand up. But if you don't stand up, you can't complain. You cannot complain, because it doesn't help the situation. Rather, you become like a little wasp, bzz, 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 you know, and you're not doing nothing about the situation. Look at what he's saying here. There is an under-reporting. Even reporters don't want to report about it. Right. On a basic level, the logistics behind segregating disability data are simple, more difficult than those of gender, race, or other commonly traced demographics. Experts and advocates say, with such a wide variety of individual experience potentially falling under the same umbrella, determining the percentage of people with disability within a population presents complications. Prevalence estimates vary widely from country to country, ranging from 24% in New Zealand to 1.5% in Iran, according to the UN Economy and Social Commission of Asia and the Panafic in 2015. So they're even turning around and saying that it will be difficult for them to determine what disabilities are around and who's got a disability and who hasn't, and what the level of disability they're going through. How can you say that? It just shows if you don't try, you won't know. I mean, you need to keep on plugging along. You can't just stop. I'll catch you tomorrow as I'm another one. Tomorrow. That's cool. See you tomorrow, Chrissy. Defining disability prevails is almost an impossible task. It is not us versus them. We must... What does that word mean? Demystify this magic number that is making everyone crazy, says Dr. Arakdo Sedza, coordinator for disability and rehabilitation with the World Health Organization. This is a long article. Okay. But people will always want something to compare, and drawing conclusions on an international level is difficult when these figures are calculated with different goals in mind, says Daniel Mont, co-president of the Center for Inclusive Policy and a member of the Washington Group on Disability Statistics. The correct figure countries may use to fund eligible disability benefit funds has a much different methodology behind it. For example, then, that used to understand the percentage of people who are unemployed because of their disability, he says. The most commonly cited figure for global prevalence of disability is in the 2011 World Report of Disability. I might have to look that up. World Report of Disability by the World Health Organization and World Bank. About 15% of the world's population, more than 1 billion people, live with disability. But it's an estimate based on country surveys from more than a decade ago. So the information isn't even updated. This is from 2011 and it's from a decade ago. Each of which use a slightly different definition of disability. Why use a different definition? I don't understand. Unique ability is unique ability. I don't understand why. That confuses me. Okay. It is what it is, I guess. Charlotte McLean Napolba, disability advisor for the World Bank, says that there haven't been new reports because there simply hasn't been new data. Of course there's new data. You just need to research. You need to research. People are not coming forward because people like Charlotte may not be interacting with the community, the society, the bigger scale. Go to different employers, find out the disabled people within organizations, talk to them. That's the only way you're going to get new information, because people don't like to shed light on what they have. People like to stay away. People like to keep things private. Sister City's funding has the roadblock. Nonetheless, advocates agree that great strides have been made recently in the push for new international data tied to disability trends, especially in the last decade. But the path hasn't always been clear. When has the path been clear for people with disability? It's never been clear from the get-go. From the 16th century, before we started using computers, before people actually had a brain, and actually some people acknowledged disability, before legislations were put in place. There was no acknowledgement then. And even now that we have these stuff in place, acknowledgement is very, very, very slow. So of course it's not going to be clear. Regional studies using disability data. Norway. Immigrants from low-income countries are more likely to depend on disability pensions benefit. How do you know that? Someone could be from a well-off family and depend on that. You never know. When I used to work in an organization, I've had people that are well off that will still come in and claim and would claim benefits. And they would say that they're claiming it because they're entitled to it. It's something that they can get, so they're coming to get it. Max, personally, I don't go out much. I find it a bit hard to socialize. Okay, right, I'm going to read the article. At the same time, I'm going to ask you a question, Max, if you don't mind. If I'm intrusive, let me know. I don't want to be intrusive. Okay, so you do your own streaming, do you, Max? You do your own live videos, do you? Right, so where was I? Right. So I got to the bit where about disability pensions benefit. Norwegians, according to research published in the Journal of Immigrants and Minority Health. So they say immigrants come to Norway and straight away they're more likely the ones to claim for disability pensions benefit. Wow. See the mindset there. It can't be us. It's got to be the migrants who's got disability. Okay. All right. Nepal. Research published in the Economy of Education Review found that education is specifically beneficial for children with disability. Education led to a 19% increase in wage for individuals with disability, nearly double the rates for non-disabled people with similar education levels. Eh? I'm confused. 1 second. So because I've got a disability, I'm more likely to excel than someone who's able-bodied doing the same job as me because of my disability. I'm not comfortable with that statement there. I'm not comfortable with that statement at all. And this is in Nepal. Okay. That's what Nepal are saying. Max, what are you saying? Yes, most of the time. I recently started. Oh, great stuff, great stuff, great stuff. What made you start doing it? What gave you the push to do it? And I can tell you this, Max. I mean, everyone's different. I've been a confident person for a long time. God knows for how long. My mum said I always like to chat like a parrot. Hence why my videos go on for an hour long. Because I can talk. I can talk for England. Not to annoy anyone, but when it's something passionate to my heart, like disability is, I will talk about it till the cows come home. So what made you get into the swing of starting to go onto Facebook Live and do Facebook videos? I mean, with me, my reason why I decided to jump onto Facebook Live and be more out there is because of my experience within the employment sector. You know, the way I've been treated and still am being treated. I felt people needed to know that if you have a barrier, some organizations will accept you open arms, but some organizations out there are not so friendly. And we all think because we have a barrier, you're more than likely to be treated differently. That is not the case. In some organizations, it is not the case. So I just wanted to bring people's mindset to that problem. So that's my reason for jumping on here and being predominantly in people's faces. So what's your reason, Max? Right, Ghana, where my family are from and where I descend from. Research has found a high prevalence of parasites linked to mental illness and a disease known as river blindness. River blindness, I've heard about that disease, but I don't know what it is. I've heard the saying, river blindness. In the country, prompting development of measures to reduce their spread. Okay, so they're trying to prompt and reduce the level at which river blindness is being produced. Okay, it's a bit vague. There isn't much more than what I've read. Let me just catch up with you, Max. See, I always knew we could multitask. Women like to say we can't multitask, but we can. Oh, man. I might have to use my ventilator before I go to bed. Oh, wow. Well, I like drawing and I'm currently writing a book, but I started to stream my art first and I streamed on Twitch instead of Facebook, but I might think of Facebook. Yeah, Facebook, you get a big audience, Max. Try Facebook, try YouTube. I don't know how you are with YouTube. I'm not an expert in YouTube, but I've got two great women that are going to help me with the whole YouTube. Vina V and V Roberts, who are both going to help me with the whole YouTube. I'm a bit skeptical on it. I'm more comfortable with Facebook Live, but I need to come out of my comfort zone and start using YouTube. So what I do is I do my videos on here and then I redirect it to YouTube at the moment. I don't know if that's okay, but it's the same message I'm conveying. It would be nice if YouTube and Facebook could merge into one and, you know, I could stream my information widely. Right, back to the article. Cameroon. People with disability face an increasing risk of HIV infection and sexual violence, according to a working paper from a French government research institution. Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. I wonder what Cameroon are doing about this. I hope they're taking action. Vietnam. A study from University College London linked better healthcare and infrastructure to lower rates of poverty among people with disability and their families. Hang on. Let me read that. Let me read that again. A study from University College London linked better healthcare and infrastructure to lower rates of poverty among people with disability and their families. Okay, I'm a bit lost there. Okay. In 2000, the United Nations adopted the Millennium Development Goals, quantified targets for addressing extreme poverty and promoting gender equality, education and environmental sustainability that were to be achieved by 2015. In the eyes of disability advocates, the goals had a tragic flaw. People with disability were an afterthought. That's always been the case. We've always been an afterthought. All the important stuff get done, and then people with disability, we're not really important. We're just, if we're lucky, we get a C into. If we're not, yeah, move on until something drastic happens to someone with a disability. That's how I view it. That's my personal experience of what I see. You know, maybe someone else watching this feed right now might come up with something different. Who knows? You know, but I'm all for different opinions. You know, so don't think I'm going to get offended if you disagree with me. But I would love you to air your comments as well. If they were thought of at all. That's true. Sometimes I think that society, or does the local authorities, do they think of the people with disabilities at all? Are we even in thought process? You know, it just conveys in how they do things, you know. This was the framework that guided the work of the United Nations in the last 15 years, but disability was not mentioned, so it was not considered, says Maria Matinaho, Social Affairs Officer at the UN's Division of Social Policy and Development. In 2006, in what Matinaho calls a breakthrough moment, representatives from Mexico proposed that the United Nations General Assembly build a committee to draft a treaty to protect the rights of people with disabilities as they had for women and children. Okay. Interesting. They put forth the economic argument that if we include people with disability, we would be able to achieve a greater good for society as a whole, she says. 1 year later, the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability was opened for signatures of members of states. The convention is a legal binding document for those countries that sign it, but it is not too prescriptive. The real change is meant to happen at the national level as members of states implement legislation that conforms to the convention guidelines. I never knew members of state had to sign this. You know what? When you do research, you know, you find out a lot of things, you know. Since I've been doing this movement, Stop the Stigma, I found out so much, and it just opens your eyes that disability is more than just someone having pain, more than just someone having a barrier that they deal with. There's actually a lot more branches and leaves that grow from just the mere factor of having a barrier. It's crazy. Data collection has its own section, Article 31, which states that required information shall be disaggregated as appropriate. You know what? I think disaggregated means shared shared and approved or something like that. I'll look up what the word means anyway. As appropriate and used to help identify and address the barriers faced by persons with disability in exercising their rights and made available to the public. Progress reports due from countries 2 years after signing and every 4 years after that continue to trickle in. Martino, who serves as secretarial for the convention, says she thinks the next 15 years will be a much better situation than the last 15 years. Some change is already evident. In 2015, when the UN adopted the next set of guiding principles, the Substance Development Goals, they were more inclusive of disability. Of the 17 goals, 164 targets and hundreds of specific statistical indicators that are set to be achieved by 2030. Wow. So they've got a target to try and bring society in line by 2030. That's good. I never knew the UN were fighting this hard. You know what? You learn something new every day. It's a shame that when you're in the countries that you actually live in, they don't pull their weight like the UN. I mean, why has it got to the UN to be pulling the chains? You know, countries should take ownership themselves and try to, help disabled people. But anyway, what am I whinging for? The UN have taken control, and the UN are doing what they need to do, and their target date year is 2030. Disability is mentioned explicitly in 7 targets and 11 indicators as a suggested focus point whenever relevant. The first assignment report on the new goal is due to the General Assembly The first assignment report on the new goals is due to the General Assembly in 2018. Oh, that's about 2 years from now. Interesting. Whilst it is early to compare individual countries on their progress, experts say the initial assessment should help define the key issues and guide the next 12 years of implementation. The challenge, experts say, is that to successfully standardize international data collection, defining a common purpose is key. Of course it's key, because if every country knows how many disabled people exist within their country, they can take it into consideration when making policies or when making decisions of how, say, example, cuts are going to affect people with disability, or what type of support can be rendered within each community. So I think, of course, it is very important that the statistics is standardized and it is up to date, oh, yeah, right. So, right. Let me finish. There's a lot going on. A lot of people are liking my video, tagging, and my eyes is everywhere. I'm trying to do 3-4 things at once. The challenge expert says that it is so successful that to successfully standardize international data collection, defining a common purpose is key. I think I've read that already. To help foster this necessary unity, the United Nations Statistics Division organized the Washington Group of Disability Statistics, an international group of diplomats and policymakers charged with developing a universal set of disability measures to be developing a universal set of disability measures to be recommended for use in census and other national surveys. The short set of Washington Group questions ask census or survey participants if they experience difficulty in 5 categories: vision, hearing, mobility, communication, and cognition. avoiding the blanket term disability. Bravo! I got a clap for the United Nations. Even they don't like the word disability. And offering respondents a range of responses, options, beyond simple yes or no, says Mont. Reduce stigma and increase response rates, helping to build a strong baseline to drive policy. Still, as more and more international organizations give people with disability their attention, tensions persist amongst disabled advocates themselves. They grapple over how to balance the medical model. I done a video about the medical model not too long ago, and I wasn't best pleased with how the whole terminology of disability and the whole labeling stemmed from the medical model. I wasn't happy about that, which calls for cures and caregiving. Listen, the caregiving isn't great. The aftercare of when a person is diagnosed with a barrier and patched up or repaired, aftercare isn't there. Well, in this country, I don't feel it, because I'm having right now to fight just to get tubes that I need to live, to survive. And the human rights model, which views disability as an ever-present layer of diversity that should be celebrated as part of human experience. Listen, I totally agree with what the UN are saying, but the mindset is the key thing that needs to be tackled. People's perception, people's ideology, people get taught or get discouraged to mingle with people with disability, and that is taught from home. You can't say society teach you that. You must have those perceptions taught to you from home. We need to eradicate that way of thinking. People need to research. People need to learn. We've got technology at our fingertips in today's society. Don't sit home watching Catchphrase or watching EastEnders, Hollyoaks. Don't get me wrong. I'm a victim to those shows. But at the same time, I'm educating myself a lot. I can say over the last, when did I start doing my live streams? I started my live streams in May. I can't know what specific dates. But since then, my knowledge has opened so much when it comes to disability. You need to educate yourself. Just because your parent or your grandparent or your great-grandparent may have had a negative view on disability and it's trickled down within the family, it doesn't mean you need to keep that mentality. Education starts from you, then it trickles into your home. Then from your home, it trickles into community, and then widens out to society. Then it widens out to the world, global. So we just need to think about how we can educate ourselves and educate the world and enforce that disability isn't a negative thing. Disability is what makes us humans. Disability actually makes you establish that you actually break. You're not going to live forever. Health is a detriment to everybody. You need to take your health seriously. Disability is not something to shirk away from, Right. You'll be glad to know I'm almost done with this article. It's a very long article. Sorry for if I've made you, if I've kept you on here for longer than you should. But you do know if you can't stay, you can just sign off and watch the video again. The video will be on here forever. It's the internet. Once you put something on the internet, it's there forever. In any case, every person is entitled to basic human rights. Experts say, and deserves to be an included member of society. In some places, this is already reality. Nika Shi, now 72, carries his Japanese disability identification card with pride and enjoys the discounts it affords him on bus passes, theatre tickets, and medical care and more. Asian culture is not a strict one, he says. It is always to make harmony with the community. As long as there are strong global leaders, he added, the adoption of similar practices could benefit people with disabilities across the world. Right, and that's it. So I would say people with disability, come out your caves, come out your underlay houses where you're hiding, crawl out of the rocks where you've put yourselves, and be counted. Be part of society. Let society see you. Let that spotlight shine on you. Let's find out how many of us are out there with unique abilities. Let's come together and be a unique force. You know, let's come together and be the most unique movement you can ever think of. You know, unique ability is one of the best things in the world. I'm unique. Anybody else who's got a unique ability is unique. Let's in tune and, you know, craft our unique side and make the world aware that it's part of the human experience. We're great. You know, we're bright. You know, I don't know if you guys remember the good old Orange advert. It's orange and it's bright, or whatever they used to say, you know, and we're unique and we're bright. So accept us for who we are. More people need to stand up like myself, and hopefully we can change the world. Every time I come on here, I'm going to give a challenge to someone who's got a barrier. Max, if you're still there, I would like you to do a live video and tell us your story. Share who you are and what your barrier is and what's made you who you are today. Would love to hear your story. Thanks for watching me today, guys. Everyone that's tuned in, I appreciate your time, your effort. Thanks for those who allowed me to tag them and haven't told me not to untag them. Thank you all. And also, obviously, I respect those who have private messaged me and said they would prefer if I didn't tag them in my videos. I respect your request. Thanks for watching. My name's Nana. Stop the stigma against people with unique abilities. I'll be on here tomorrow. If you have any questions, anything you want to ask, private message me. We can talk on FB Messenger. You know, I don't sleep till I've got a weird sleeping pattern now due to circumstances out of my control. So I'll be up till early hours of the morning. So if you want to drop me a message, please do. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening. Have a good week coming ahead. And just remember, everything you do, you're unique to yourself and you're unique to the world. People with unique abilities, we matter. Thank you. Goodbye.